Are we coming in? Can you hear us? Good? Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Well, this is our live stream that we can't actually do live. So we're going to try to embody the same feeling when
Yep.
we used to do live streams.
Yes.
We need 700 more subscribers. You should probably, if you're not subscribed right now, you should probably do that because we like to do live streams when we're at destinations
Keep in
or
the loop. Yeah,
want to do live updates. But this works too. This is as raw as it's gonna get. Us just chilling in a bed, not ours. Just woke up, a little disheveled. I try to keep it as cute, messy as possible. I woke
up like this.
He woke up like this. Minus the shirt, probably. I don't know.
And
the glasses. He has sleeping glasses. And we are in Cabo. If you're not on our Instagram, you should go there, follow us, because I think we already said that we're in Cabo on there, or said that we're headed there. So our location is always updated on there.
Link in the description. Yes.
And I think Twitter too, but sometimes we forget to change the location on Twitter. But besides that, we just wanted to do a video to update you guys on what's going on and to have a little bit of a rant. Storytime rant.
Story time.
So a couple of, not housekeeping things, but I guess follow-ups on some things. You probably know, based on our Instagram, again, we went to TravelCon last week, which was Thursday to Saturday. So we took off work Thursday and Friday, left work on Wednesday, went to Boston, met amazing people. We'll do a video about TravelCon later this summer, because it won't be probably July. We have so many videos to send out.
Yeah.
And it was such a great time, but more to come on that. But from going from Wednesday night traveling to Boston to being in Boston until Sunday, and then our landlord actually gave us a surprise on she needed to have an appraiser look at our condo so that she could refinance and all that stuff. That's logistics, I guess. But so we had a couple of things that because our house was in shambles, really, because we've been in and out
constantly
between work and preparing for these next two trips, which was Boston and now Cabo.
For all those people in the dorm life, it was a random RA inspection.
Yeah. And then my mom was coming that Monday. Sorry, I need to try to keep the timeline. So left the Wednesday before, came back from Boston on Sunday. Mom came on Monday, and we postponed as long as we could for the appraiser. She couldn't, our landlord didn't want to wait until we came back from Cabo, which would have been next week. So we squeezed it in Tuesday after work for Cabo.
Yep.
And then, so Tuesday, there was a lot of running around. Mom forgot a couple of medications and CPAP masks and trying to check us all in. It was a lot going on. And honestly, that's the life of a traveler, a part-time traveler, or a traveler that has a full-time job. Because keeping our household straight and making sure you don't fault on anything at work is sometimes really hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like this last week was one of those really challenging weeks because we had 2 days between Boston, almost like a day and a half, but 2 days between Boston and Cabo, leaving for Cabo. And it was definitely challenging, but I feel like we conquered the challenge, or what do you call that? Conquered? We slayed it.
We rose to the occasion and we conquered the challenge.
And we conquered the challenge.
Yes.
And it was a lot. And so we just wanted to give you, you're getting kind of lower and lower. And
I mean, I only have one arm.
You have two. Maybe help you? I know I usually am the one struggling with it, but for someone with such long arms for this, he does not do well with holding the camera for very long. See, you gotta put your arm on the elbow, and ooh, the lighting is nice on us. Nice. So anyway, that's a little bit of like what's been going on for the past week, and I definitely wanted to say that we won't have our the next video we wanted to post was about our stag and hen from the Destination Wedding series, but we will post that next week because of everything that was going on, and Kamal will fill you in on the next part of the craziness. Yeah, editing and posting a video was not gonna happen. I thought it would, and I was like, no, we need to at least go live on our computer. But I didn't want to bring the computer on the trip. We wanted to unplug as much as we could, minus making a lot of videos.
Also, if we tell you what went down, you'll realize why we actually didn't have the occasion to
actually
go
do live.
Yeah, I mean, we probably could have, but had to keep focus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that's all the updates on my end before Kamal continues with the story. Did I miss anything?
I don't believe so.
TravelCon. Going to Cabo.
Going back to work.
Going back to work.
Yep.
Appraise.
Yep.
Mom.
Yep.
And video next week on our Stag and Hen party. Go watch it. If it's already out when you watch this, go watch our video. Okay?
If it's already out, we'll
link it
right there.
At some point.
One up.
But yeah, as of right now, no video for this week.
This is just us keeping it raw.
Yeah. So go ahead with story time.
Story time, kids. Are you ready? Here goes.
Oh, by the way, we didn't introduce ourselves. We assume everybody knows us.
If you're watching this live stream, you should probably know who we are already. I am the Dungeon Master of Work-Life Balance, Kamal Siddiqui, and this is my partner in crime, my wife and the love of my life, Celiana.
Yes, I'm Selena.
So we went to check into our flight, and given our hectic schedules and hectic lives, we were doing it pretty late in the day because we thought we had an early morning flight. So we went to go check into our flight, and I hear Selena scream from across the room, why is it saying 10 o'clock? We booked our flights in February to go to Cabo, and it was a 7 a.m. flight. We would arrive in Mexico City at, I want to say 1.
Yeah, I want to. Oh no! At like 11.
At like 11. Actually, that makes sense. Yeah, because it's
like
about
12.
a 5-hour flight, 1 hour time difference. So we would get there around 11. Excuse me, dabbing on them like the usual. We would get there about 11, and then we had a flight at 2 o'clock from Mexico City to Cabo. Boom, bam, done. End of discussion. We check into our 7 a.m. flight, and it says it's at 10:30 now, and we would land at 3, but our layover was still at 2. Now. We bought her mother's tickets to correspond with our tickets because we couldn't get her on the same flight as us. So she was going to get there around the same time and then actually go on the same Mexico City flight to Cabo with us. But at some point, they canceled our 7 a.m. flight. When, I do not know. But it
might have been the reason why I couldn't get her onto our flight.
Right. So it
was like,
Interjet
that
no
exist.
longer handles this 7 a.m. flight for whatever reason. And it's gone. So they tell the agency that we booked it through. I'm going to shout them out because they had horrible customer service. And if you've had a better experience, please let me know. But in this one, it was bad. And if they see it, they should know that they should be able to handle this different. It was called justfly.com. I don't really consider us budget travelers, but I guess in the grand scheme we are because we're always looking for the best deal. We do a lot of research and what have you. And this is the only time this has ever happened to us.
Like a third party.
Like a third party. It's like an Expedia, Kayak, or anything else, just without a bigger name.
Yeah, but I think it's just like low end.
Right. So we booked with them. Everything is perfectly fine. It was booked proper because we called Interjet eventually and they said, yeah, it was there. So apparently they canceled this leg of the flight. They no longer offer it. Maybe there was just low attendance or whatever. They reschedule it. I don't know. They reschedule it. They try to let Just Fly know, but apparently there's some lapse in communication. So Just Fly doesn't let us know because they don't know. So when we call them, they tell us that the best thing for us to do is call the airline. And then we call the airline, and the airline tells us the best thing for us to do is to talk to the third party that we went through and see if they can fix it. So basically, they just ping ponged us the entire time.
Yeah.
And
Pass the buck.
as condensed as this sounds, this was literally 3 or 4 hours of communication. Whenever I would call Interjet and I would ask for an English-speaking person, I would get hung up on. Whenever I asked for a Spanish-speaking person, I would get them immediately, and I say, I need to talk to you about this issue I'm having with my flight. And they said, okay, I'll transfer you, and then I would get hung up on. I don't know why that was. I don't think it was anything malicious, but it was just not handled well.
Especially because you said that you got the same guy twice.
I got the same guy twice.
And he's like, I don't know what's going on,
yeah.
but let me try it again. And I'm like,
yeah. So neither one of them wanted to take fault. And so while this is going on, Selena and I are both looking up for flights that could compensate what's happening and maybe rectify the situation. And so they inform us, which I kind of already knew, but I was hoping they would adjust this, that if we were to get a flight around the time we were originally scheduled at 7 as opposed to the 10:30 flight, that it would cancel our second leg of the flight, which was the thing that we were trying to keep. So to condense the story like big time, what we wound up doing is not getting anything from either one of them. And to the point that when we actually went to the airport to check in for the flight again, like, because you gotta, we don't do check bags, so,
okay.
So
thankfully, honestly,
yeah, thankfully for that, yeah. So they checked our bags to make sure they're the proper dimensions and whatnot, and the guy at the ticket counter is printing our tickets because we have the digital passes. So they're printing our tickets, and you can. I wish we caught it on camera, but you can see his face go when he sees that our first flight lands at 3, but our second flight leaves at 2. And I find it.
He definitely looked at it a couple times.
Yeah, and I find it absolutely ridiculous that they acknowledged that there was some sort of error. And to their credit, not to dismiss them completely, the guy said they can put us on another flight, but the only flights that are available were on like the 5th or the 6th, which would effectively nullify our entire trip. So, what did we wind up doing? We wound up booking a flight with another airline and having to spend an extra 2 or 3 hours in Mexico City in the airport. So we didn't even get to explore really.
Yeah. And we thought about taking a flight on July 4th, and then we're like, we actually wanted to do like a layover, like full layover video in Mexico City, but with I don't know if we've ever mentioned this, but like my mom has like a couple medical issues, and so we work hard. Like if she's traveling and it's like for something like this, like my brother's wedding, we try to like pair up with her and just make sure she has everything she needs. And so like that meant like we would have a full day where she's kind of like on her own ish, because we didn't know who was going to be here already in Cabo. I mean, I figured my brother, but I mean, it's his wedding. Like, who wants to deal with all that?
Right.
No offense, Mom. It's just, we want to make sure you're good. So, yeah, I thought about us doing the 4th, but we had that close window for a reason, so that she didn't have to be, like, in the airport all alone the whole time. But,
yeah.
I mean, it happened, and she made it here, so it worked out.
She said there was a little bit of a struggle, but...
Yeah, especially waiting for, like, the wheelchair and stuff.
Spoilers, and I'm sure it's because it's a hub airport. Mexico City Airport is extremely chaotic, at least while we were there. There's a lot of people walking around. They have a whole wing dedicated for people who don't have a gate yet, and it's just people kind of just standing around looking at screens. It
reminds me of a train station.
Yeah.
Like Penn Station, actually.
Yeah, and then it was kind of chaotic even when we got on the flight.
Yeah, and shout out to disabled travelers. Is that how you say it?
Yeah. Like
travelers with disabilities. It's very, I want to say honorable, but it's very encouraging to see like people who travel and just make it work even though they have a disability, because really it's humbling, because that they have to ask for help. And I know it's one of the struggles I've seen in my mom, is because she has to ask for more help from strangers, because like we weren't there. So it kind of sucks that it turned out the way that it did, but so happy. Like, if our scenario happened and we weren't travelers, I don't know. We were talking about it last night, and it might have sounded like braggy and stuff, like, but
it's what it is.
It's like, I don't know if I didn't travel, if I wasn't traveling this much with Kamal already, I don't know if we would have really felt confident enough to do what we did to find a new flight and stuff.
Thankfully, we have travel insurance with this one. I'm not entirely sure if they're going to cover it, but I feel like this is like a trip interruption.
Yeah.
And anyway, it's good to have regardless of that. And a couple of times we kept saying, like Selena just said, like what would have happened if it was somebody else? If you're still with us, in the comments, let us know what you would have done in this scenario.
Yeah.
Because we found out that we did not have this flight, and it was about 11 or 12.
It was
night.
it was pretty much the day of the flight.
And what made it worse is the flight before our flight at 10 was at 12:50, and so there was no way for us to even get there.
And that would have kind of worked out.
Yeah.
Try to set up my mom somehow how to get to the airport in time for her flight, and we just go earlier. But we found out like the worst moment, because there was even like a 2 a.m. flight, and I'm like looking at the time, I'm like with Valeris, and I was like, oh, we could maybe take this one.
Yeah.
And it was at 2 a.m. and I think it was like 1:39 a.m. when I saw it, and I was like, we can't even take this. And the whole maybe it canceling our second flight, and it's a lot of craziness.
It was and honestly, as stated before, this is part of the reason why we don't do check bags. We have, obviously, for longer trips or larger trips, things that we need to take a lot of things with us. But we've mailed things, but for occasions like this, we just don't do it. And I'm so thankful for that, because we already heard horror stories of people losing their luggage in transit, and they got all the flights that they were supposed to. Now imagine you're an hour late for your flight.
Yeah.
And then they tell you that, no, your bag was left at the airport for the other area. We would just be scrambling the entire time. It's insane.
And I guess to reiterate, and I know we've said it a couple of times on the channel, this is why we make this channel, so that you guys don't, those who are watching, who are people who don't travel a lot and are just trying to get their feet wet and feel apprehensive about taking that leap. That's why we're enduring some of this stuff.
Yeah.
This is why we're doing this. It's a struggle, but then I thought, in the midst of the craziness and frustration of everything, which I totally thought about whipping up the camera at some point, but I was like, I need to focus. So, but to just say, this is why we do what we do, and we want to show that, it's sometimes difficult, but in the end, it's so worth it, and we'll have a Cabo video, and we'll show you guys, basically a little bit more. We're going to review Interjet and try to just make it just
the customer service.
Yeah, just about the flight and stuff itself, just like everybody else, Spirit, Qatar.
And in the sake of transparency, because it was a last minute flight, and we were talking to some people about it yesterday. Yeah, it's yesterday now. We didn't spend $1,000 for the extra flight. We actually wound up getting it for just,
I believe it was it was almost 300. It was 2 something because of taxes.
For both of us.
For both of us together.
Which I don't know
it was one and change.
I don't know if that's a normal thing, if we just lucked out, but that's what it is.
It was also a domestic flight, so it was Mexico
technically
City,
it was domestic because it was Mexico to
to
Mexico,
Cabo.
so that probably helped a lot.
Yeah, and it was the cheapest one we could find.
Yeah.
And it ended up being a really nice airline. We try to take some footage. We'll do a quick review about that also after we show you guys the Interjet one. So we got lots of videos coming out.
Yeah.
So that's Stag and Hen next week.
Yep.
And at some point, TravelCon / Boston or
at
whatever.
At some point, the airline reviews.
And then 2 airline reviews.
Cabo review.
And we already have other stuff that we're already planning.
Don't hold us to the schedule because it's ever evolving.
Yeah, I'm constantly switching things around. So hopefully next week is the Stag and Hen.
Yeah.
No, it should be, because the last video was the train video to Seattle.
But It's early and it's time for breakfast. So, in the comments, let us know your travel massacre and how you handled it. Like this video if you want to see more of us doing some live streams. Subscribe and tell your friends. And remember, it starts with you.
Starts with you. And keep your job. Don't get fired.
Don't get fired.
We'll see. Oh,
I was going to say unless you're independently wealthy. And by all means, keep the hustle up, kid. Get the bag.
So, see you next week. Bye.